This is a cautionary story about artificial sweeteners. Recently, I was on a very long drive with family, and it had been one of those kind of days where you get where I was had no energy, and in fact, it had gotten dangerous. And mid-afternoon, on the way home on our long drive, we were still a good 45 minutes away from home when I started getting drowsy at the wheel. This was a problem. We needed So we stopped somewhere to get some food and for me to try to get it together because I'm the only one who can drive. And and this is where I ran into a problem. I needed an energy boost. I needed caffeine. So we sit down at this barbecue place I'd actually been wanting to try for a while, and barbecue was really good. They had the best pork ribs in the entire state of Oklahoma that I've had actually. But the problem I ran into was we sit down and the server asks the typical "what do you want to drink" kind of question. My wife, who does keto, not carnivore, and who will occasionally have a diet soda, ordered a Diet Dr. Pepper. And I needed caffeine, so I got one too. And I figured my reasoning behind this was thinking, well, I haven't had aspartame or sucralose or whatever, but it was this normal Diet Dr. Pepper, not one of the new zero drinks, which tend to have, some sort of weird cocktail of artificial sweeteners. The diet ones have just aspartame and not like several sweeteners in it. And I figured, well, the times I had tasters of diet sweeteners didn't go well. Like they didn't taste good. So I figured I'd get one, I'd sip on it, get enough of an energy boost to get us home, and it would be fine. I figured I wouldn't like the way this thing tasted. Well, they bring me my Diet Dr. Pepper, and man, I liked the way it tasted. It tasted great. And that's a problem. The net result of this was not having one, because I used to be the guy who could suck down these drinks like mad. I ended up having three of them. When in Rome, right? Go all in. So I had those and I had my meal and I got us home safely, which is a good thing, objectively. Got the energy boost I was looking for. The problem was that I had afterwards the weirdest cravings for the first time practically since going carnivore. I started having cravings for sugary things. Now, I did not give in to them. I did not go and get the pastry I wanted or whatever, but suddenly, out of the blue, I started craving sugary, sweet things. I haven't had cravings like that in years, or not years, but, at least a year. It was weird. Driving by Panda Express. Oh, that sounds good. Why does that sound good? That doesn't sound good at all. Why does that sound good? But it did. Driving past any place I had any kind of a sweet thing, all of a sudden it sounded good. And that is out of the blue. Well, that was weird, out of character for me. Now, again, I didn't give in. Here's the cautionary thing. We tend, people tend to think, you want something sweet, have the diet thing. It's better than the not having anything at all. And I can tell you that's not necessarily true. And I never had this problem, by the way, with like the element electrolytes, ones sweetened with stevia. That was never a problem. Like I would have one of those, I wouldn't want anything sweet. If I wanted something sweet, I'd have an electrolyte drink and I'd be done with it. So I don't know why aspartame is different. Because aspartame tastes gross normally. Like how many of you who used to drink Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi or whatever remember how those things tasted or tried tasting one and found it disgusting? How many of you had the same experience I did? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious about this. But there are actual studies here that show you that these diet sodas don't actually help people with weight loss. We have one here I'm looking at this on the National Library of Medicine's websites where I look at most of these. But this was published in Neuroscience in 2010. It's called Gain Weight by Going Diet, Artificial Sweeteners and the Neurobiology of Sugar Cravings. And it's, 2010, you're starting to get a little old in your studies when you go this way, but, it tells us that, they give us the assumption first that, the assumption generally is if you want something sugary, but you don't want the sugar and the carbohydrates, have the diet thing and it'll be fine. But apparently, this is an epidemiological study, so take it with a heaping tablespoon of salt, but apparently the data does show that the inverse is true. Several large-scale prospective cohort studies found positive correlation between the artificial sweetener use and weight gain. There it is. The San Antonio Heart Study examined 3,682 adults over a 7 to 8 year period in the 1980s. When matched for internal body mass index, gender, ethnicity, and diet, drinkers of artificially sweetened beverages consistently had higher BMIs at the follow-up visit, with dose dependence on the amount of consumption. Average BMI gain was 1.01 kilograms for control and 1.78 kilograms for people in the third quartile for artificially sweetened beverage consumption. Now, when you look at studies like this, there's one thing I do want to point out. And there's a lot of people out there who don't use artificial sweeteners purely as a way to just get their soft drink, their caffeine, while they're otherwise trying to lose weight. There are plenty of people, this is almost like an old joke, there are plenty of people who will walk into the fast food place, order the, king size double Whopper with cheese and gigantic size fries, and then get a Diet Coke with it. It's almost like a running joke in the food industry. You see this all the time, and maybe they have a legitimate reason for doing that, but I do wonder what that legitimate reason could be for doing that and then eating that many seed oils and carbs in one sitting in general. But there are plenty of people who do that. But it does look like artificial sweeteners have, for some reason, a correlative effect with causing weight gain. And I would bet you money that some of it has to do with cravings, even though apparently there are other, the aspartame industry anyway will tell you that there is no correlation between having cravings for food or sweet cravings by consuming their product. I can tell you from personal experience that happened just a couple of days ago when I had this problem. It's not something I'm happy that happened, but it was an important thing for me to recognize, and that is next time I should plan ahead and bring my own source of caffeine with me, or get a cup of black coffee. That won't cause any cravings, or something, anything would be better than that diet soda I had. That was a lesson learned. I'm curious though if you had any life lessons that you've learned in this way doing carnivore, where no matter how long you're doing it, people tend to still learn things. You be carnivore for 10 years and have something happen and learn a lesson. So let me know if you had any similar kind of lessons that you've learned from this, because diet sodas are the devil. They really are. And I have zero intention of indulging them again unless I absolutely have to. And this time, at least I'll be forewarned. And being forewarned is forearmed. So let me know in the comments, please, your experience with, artificial sweeteners, and I'm not talking like the monk fruits or the stevias. I'm talking aspartame, sucralose, whatever the one whose name I can never pronounce is, that goes usually found with sucralose in energy drinks and the zero drinks. Let me know if you've had this kind of problem to yourself. Let me know in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It really does help. Visit sharing this on social media. It helps a lot too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore, and thanks for tuning in today.